prescribed path for the Vav man to regard in order to get to be Resh man. The prescribed path, we'll go into this in a minute, is the meaning of it's like the word aleph, the plan, the purpose. Like when you set an ox, the reason why they use oxen to plow, you set them on the course and they go straight. Horses and other animals go wayward, but the ox sets straight on the plow. That's one reason why the aleph is typified by the ox head. You set him on the course, and that which goes, he's not going to stop until he accomplishes it. Yahweh says, my word will not return to me void, but will accomplish whatever I set it forth to do. Another place he says, as I have planned, so it shall be. As I have purposed, so it shall come about. That's a model right there in words of aleph and tav. Aleph. That's why it's white. Those who know about color and stuff, white includes all the other colors. So the aleph and the tav here in this picture are white. As I have planned, what's the plan? This. So it shall be. As I have purposed, what's the purpose? This. So it shall arise. So what is the prescribed path? This is the prescribed path. What's then the ruach, the prescribed path of the holy things, of the things from his realm of kadoshness? Hey, it's the alphabet. Could it be the alphabet is the Ruach HaKodesh? Oh, that would mean the alphabet's the Holy Spirit? Am I saying that? What I'm saying is we've misunderstood the concept of Holy Spirit, and that the prescribed path of his high, clean purity is given to us in the Hebrew alphabet if we can see it. And if we can see it as its base level, then we can translate every other word of the Bible based on that premise, not some of these other things which are written, which are surface variants. So let me go back to this then. These three that are on the outside of the Mishkan court, the fence, the altar of sacrifice, and the laver, are like the spring festivals. Passover, unleavened bread, and Shavuot, spring festivals. First coming of Yeshua. Fall festivals, according to Michael Brood's study. Yom Teruah, trumpet. What has the trumpet got to do with a shofar? I mean, the trumpet is shofar. What has the shofar got to do with menorah? A shofar is filled with sound, wind, breath, in order to produce the fruit of noise. A menorah filled with oil to produce the fruit of light. A good steward is filled with the ruach to produce the fruit of Galatians 5:22, right? And the tree is filled with good nutrients to produce good fruit. It all has to do with bearing fruit. A servant thing. Yom Teruah. Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, Judgment Day, the day that we will be weighed and measured, the day that our faces will be seen for what they are, weighed at all levels, and justice accordingly meted out. Sukkot, the time of the mouth, the time for rejoicing, the time for communicating, fellowshipping, eating, drinking, laughing, praying, singing, that's all Sukkot mouth business. And Shemini Atzeret. Typically, Shemini Atzeret is not considered its own festival, but if you look close to Leviticus 23, Sukkot, the pay, has 7 days. The last day is the closing festival. That's Shemini Atzeret. That's its own festival, which is like bookend. You got Pesach, 1 day, 7 days of Hag Matzot, unleavened bread. That's 1 and then 7. At the end, you've got 7 and 1. You've got the 7 days of Sukkot, the 1 day of Shemini Atzeret. So it's like the inverse. To go real quick onto the wheel within a wheel concept, just to show how this works, it all has to do with repetition and learning again and again and again and again. So what he gave us is the Sabbath day. You got 6 cogs on a wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cogs. That's okay. Here's the Sabbath day, right? And as this wheel goes around, every month, every week you've got the Sabbath day. Every month you check for the new moon. So you got 30 days. And then as it goes through the wheel of the year, you've got the festivals. You've got the 3 in the fall, and you've got the 3 in the spring, and the 4 in the fall. So you've got this wheel within a wheel. And then the bigger wheel is you've got Jubilee, which is also counting 50. Similar to the wheel of Shavuot, which is the 3rd festival in the spring, which is also counting 50. So 50 means something to him. So what I'm basically saying is that he's set up within this whole thing, this pattern of counting, of going over it. Every week is the Sabbath day. Then you've got the monthly, then you've got the yearly, and you've got the cycles of the festivals, around and around and around, counting 50, and then you start over. So within this whole thing, you've got this pattern of going forward, but at the same time, you're going around. Okay, there's another kuf. Another kuf pattern. This pattern of the spiral is embedded in, it's all over the place. So the point is this. At a fundamental level, the days of creation, 1 through 7, this is the day he put sun, moon, and stars. This is the day he separated, put fish in the sea and birds in the air, right? Like Judgment Day, heaven and hell, in, you're out. This is Sukkot, like I said, the fellowship. And then this is Shemini Atzeret, the set-apart day that most people forget about. They incorporate it into Sukkot, but it's the last day, the last gathering. And the interesting thing about Shemini Atzeret is it's the first day, you might say, of rolling back the Torah scroll, what they call Simchat Torah, the joy of the Torah, where they start the Torah reading all over again. So the first day is like the Aleph, but it's the last festival, which is like the Tav. So you've got a combination there of the Aleph and Tav. It's also the 8th day, and 8 is the letter for Het, which means new beginning. It literally means new beginning, like entering in. So that's also an 8, which is like the first, like the new beginning, which is an Aleph concept. And then you've got the Tav, which is the position of the Kadosh Kodashim, or the last one, the place of the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant. So that's like a Torah. So there you go. You have an Aleph Tav again. Just a little shorthand, Aleph, Tav, and Paleo. I kind of write it like that. But it also has to do, you could go on and see these different types, that the first and the last. Yeshua said, I'm the first and last, the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. It's all that picture there, which is the Zadik. The letter Zadi means righteous. So you have the first and the last is the Zadi, which is the Dabir, which is the word for word, which is the Ark of the Covenant, which has in it the Torah. Essentially, you can say these are all the same thing, which is, since Yeshua claimed to be that, he's the icon or the archetype of righteousness. Anyway, so you understand how it works? Now, so when you see this list, which I'm going to give you here as a key to translating Daniel, it's not a matter of them necessarily of saying which of the 10 do you choose between, because each letter means all those things. And it's not necessarily a matter of saying, which exact thing do I get? But it's like getting a picture of what the concept is that the word is telling you. So the word for Dabir, to touch that real quick. Dalet, Bet, Resh. Okay, there you have a door. And a Bet is like a house, but it's also not just a house, it's a body or a container of some kind. It's also a woman or a wife. And Resh is the exalted man, which would be like the husband. So the Dabir is kind of like the door to the house of the man, or the door by which the woman is the man's. Another way to read this is that the two outside letters are according to a Brad Scott teaching, that the outside letters are like the body or the husk or the encapsulating mechanism, and the inner letter of the three is the heart of it. So you might say, well, the door to the Messiah, the exalted man, the door to him is what it's all about, but at his heart is the Bet, his house, which is his bride, which is his metaphorical woman. That's what the Dabir is all about. Well, what's the Dabir? The Dabir is the word. What is his word for? The word is so that we who want to be the bet of Resh can have access to the Dalet. The word is the Dalet of bet joining with Resh. Okay, so now what part of it should he do away with? What part of the Debir did Yeshua eliminate, or did Jesus do away with, or annihilate, or fulfill, or toss in the can when he died on the cross? If anything, he opened the door. But does that mean he did away with the word? No. It means he opened the door. He didn't eliminate the door. It gets in the more theological conversation. We won't go there. Okay. So Daniel. The point about this, I'm going to do one thing before we get to Daniel, sorry. So I was asked to read this. This is in a nutshell a simple version of the meaning of the letters, another way to read them. We read before the list and said, did you see a story there? Okay. The Aleph is like an ox. You set it on its course and it won't veer off the course. It'll accomplish what it was set to do. The bet is the incorporation of or into. The Aleph would be like the architect who thinks of all the possibilities, decides, I'm going to do it like this. And then when he makes it, when he puts his thoughts and his possibilities into one definite plan and says, this is it. This is the building made according to the plan, having considered all the possibilities, that's the bet. The bet is the materialization, the actuality of the Aleph concept, the architect's, the author's choice of all possible alternatives. Boom, it's bet. Gimel is the relationship between Aleph and bet, which is to say, Aleph didn't just make it and sit back and say, I'm just going to watch it, but it's the engaging encounter of the relationship between the two. So I don't think we'll have time to go here, but I'm going to make mention of this. One way to read this alphabet is to say the third letter represents the dynamic or the difference between the two. So Aleph relates to bet by mechanism of Gimel, which is to say connected and transverse, back and forth. You could say then how this is the Messiah is that Yeshua himself, the Messiah, the man, the Vav of Yod He Vav He, is the guy, is the aspect of Yod He Vav He that walks the earth. Dalet is the earth. There's four corners, there's four dimensions, north, south, east, west. 4 seasons, Dalet is earthiness. So Aleph, the silent letter, the invisible architect, Bet, incorporates himself, or makes himself corporeal, you might say, to Gimel the Dalet, to walk the earth, to be the one sent to come through the door, to be the door, to walk the earth, revealed as light, as a contrast to the darkness, by being the man who was put on the weapon, so that those men who are in the darkness, themselves confronting the weapon, can choose to enter the kingdom, thus be sealed and called the Creator's own, as he molds them into the pattern of his being by teaching and learning, making them become his own essence, of his own blood, of his own family, of his own character and nature, so that they will then have a position within his place as a good steward, that they will watch one another so that he will watch over them, and with the measure they use, he will measure to them. The reciprocation of all events, what goes around comes around, what you plant you will reap. He will explain his ways, the mind of Christ, the way, the methods, the processes of the Messiah, of Yahweh himself, who gives us and explains not to leave us in the darkness, but to say, this is what I told you and this is why. You regard his instructions, believe his promises as you do them. He tells you, the mouth, the pay, he tells you what's going on. Come, let us reason together. I'll explain the whole thing. You have a problem with it? Talk to me about it. That's what he does. With the Zod he set before us, which is not only the icon or the archetype of what we have to look forward to, but also the promise, the hope set before us that you will be like this. We are to be conformed to the image of Yeshua, the archetype, the prototype, the exalted one, the firstborn of many brethren. What are we going to end up looking like? Just like him in our way.